Hello, everybody. It is Sunshine Frost. I'm so happy to be here, guys. We're on another episode of Spirit Uncensored, and today is an idea right after my own heart. I have to tell you that this is something that's near and dear, and today we are talking about this because of this theological debate. Do pets really go to heaven or not? Because it is being said all throughout the churches and the pulpit and the seminaries that animals don't have a soul. Now, this actually happened to one of my children. I sent them to a Christian school here in Menifee, California. And during their time at this school, which was a lovely school with great teachers, in fact, they were pastors that taught the class that my daughter and my son were in together. It was a middle school class. And one of the kids came to school crying that his dog had died, and he was so upset about this. So upset, in fact, he was crying, and he asked the teacher, "Will I see my dog again?" And to that remark, the teacher replied, "No. Dogs do not have a soul. They're just here to enjoy, and that's it. You can get another dog." My daughter, who is an animal rights lover, activist, call it what you will, she was so upset by this that she came home and said, "Mom, I don't want to go to heaven if there's no animals there." I thought it was a fluke. I thought this was something that just randomly happened, but it turned out that this is actually something that's being taught. And so I want to really encourage everyone to take this teaching and send it to as many people as you can so that you can know that yes, most definitely whether animals go to heaven or not, and whether that reunion will be with your favorite dog, a cat, or whatever you have shared your life with. So my name is Sunshine Frost. I am actually a reverend of metaphysical Christianity, and I'm also a medium. Yes, I'm a medium and clairvoyant as well. And I've gotten to do over 100,000 sessions with people, and today I'm going to be talking about this, which is so very, very important. This teaching, I feel like, touches my heart, but I also know it's going to help so many other people that are in the same situation with trying to explain how this works with their children. So I'm really excited, and I hope you guys are joining us from everywhere, all over Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and even some of our clips will be uploaded to our TikTok, One Tribe Around the World. But I'm so happy to put this show together. This is called Spirit Uncensored, and since I have been an active medium, and I have been around the world doing sessions in every country, I have decided to create a YouTube platform where we can all be together from different countries all over the world. So I want to know, what is it that you have heard? Have you ever heard this teaching? Because I guess it's pretty common in the church culture to believe that animals don't have a soul. And I'm going to say I don't quite understand where or why this got into theology and into the teachings, but I'm really, really happy to debunk it today. So I would love to have some guests come on and talk about some of the pet readings we've gotten to do over the years. But yes, when I first started doing mediumship, I only did it for those that had lost children, then those that had lost children to cancer with St. Jude's, and then I began to do active readings. And if you know my story, I continued to do readings until I began to do them on social media, and I opened a studio here in Southern California. So it's just an amazing thing to realize that God created this earth and everything in it with the breath of life, as they say. And what's a blessing is that in that breath of life, in Genesis, he talks about breathing his life into everyone and into every living thing. So when I say I practice Christian mysticism, it's definitely not about following a religious, legalistic, religious order. It's about the consciousness of Christ permeating anything and everything in my life, and also having gratitude and understanding that God is a living energy and a breathing energy, and that it permeates, his spirit is in every living thing on the planet. So when I heard this teaching, I felt it was definitely my necessity to bring this teaching forward, and let's dissect and get into it for what we need to know today. So we have a couple of comments. Did you just get on, Sunshine? No, I've been on for a little while. Hopefully you guys are watching the live, and we're going to get some more live viewers. Usually I go from 8 to 11, and we're right around that time frame. We're just starting a few minutes late, but I do hope that you're going to watch this on the replay. And remember that the best thing about YouTube is that you can put this on your phone for later. You can actually get on your television and watch this on the big screen while making the comments with your phone. And we do ask that every follower make 3 comments. Make sure you thumbs up everybody, and make sure that you share this with a friend and subscribe to the channel, because I really appreciate it. Also, if you'd like to know more about my sessions and what I do as far as my sessions, go to right here into this beautiful QR code right here on the right, and you can just scan that with your phone. It's going to pull up the website. And I'm going to be doing free consultations for those that would like readings. We're going to have readings on our Friday night lives. So if you'd like to come on to this live program to do a reading with me in person, virtually, then I will be able to send you a link and you can go side by side with me. So I love helping people with this beautiful gift, and I love serving people by being able to bring them closer to heaven. Thank you so much. You love my background. Yeah, it's a beautiful background. I think a lot of people that are involved in mysticism and also just psychical arts, you know, some of them are in different spectrums. And so I really like to keep ours in the white light, because I don't believe without my near death, and I don't believe without having gone to heaven and meeting all those heavenly beings and having those experiences that I would feel or do the things that I'm doing today. So that's why I love to keep that so close to us. And I love the angels, and we use angels every day in our practice. So let's go ahead and move into the topic, everybody. So what do you guys think? Do you think angels really help us in heaven? And do you think that pets are with those angels? What do you guys think? I'm just curious. We will have a whole show just on angels, but for tonight we're going to be talking about pets. Do you think your animals go to heaven? And has anybody ever heard this teaching that animals don't go to heaven? I was on my TikTok page earlier at Spirit Dr. Sunshine Frost, and someone told me that they had also heard that teaching in the church, that animals don't go to heaven because they don't have souls. And this was so bothersome to my actual other client that she quite literally quit going to church over it. So it was a lot. It's a lot for people that have pets, and they think, yeah, all dogs go to heaven. They think that, how can it be heaven without my beloved pet? And I'm here to tell you, I feel exactly the same way. But this isn't just a random, isolated incident. I've now heard this from probably around 100 people, that they have been told by pastors, good intending pastors, because their seminary college or their Bible college or their scriptures, for whatever reason, don't back up the idea that dogs, cats, and domesticated animals have a place in heaven. So I want to start at the beginning. In Genesis, it says that God breathed his breath into everything, and he formed it from the dust of the earth just like man, and he created the animals, and he created one of each, a male and a female, that they should procreate and go on and create a beautiful bounty and species of their own kind. And I know that that was true, that when earth was created, it was created with beautiful pets and beautiful animals. So Melissa says, I want my dog to stay with me. I know it sounds bad, but I want her with me. And I want to tell you something. That is exactly what God wants for us too. Just like he found so much love and joy when he created us. And yeah, aside from all the bad things we do, God truly does take pleasure in our existence, and he truly does love us, and he wants to experience his creation through us. In the same way that he feels when he creates a beautiful horse or a wonderful companion animal, he gets the same love and feeling as we get from experiencing that creature. So let's ask this question. If we are also mammals, our host bodies are also mammals, then why would we be distinctively different? Obviously, they say the animals don't have a soul, but I know that for many of you, if you've looked in the eyes Yes, Marty says we had it happen to our children's school. Yeah, children came home and told us the pastor said that there was no souls in the animals. So we look at Genesis where the animals actually had life, or the rock, Rauch, breathed into them, forgive the pronunciation, but they had that Spirit of God breathed into their breath, and they were risen from the dirt, from the elements, and they were formed into living animals, and they were created a male and a female to actually perpetuate their species. And then we move on, and it says that in Isaiah 11, that the kingdom of God is filled with animals. It says that they do exist. So why would God create a kingdom of animals on earth if he didn't intend for us to have them in heaven? How blank and how blank would that be if heaven were just like a hospital? How would you have a lake to fish in or an ocean to visit? Because remember that heaven is the perfected perpetuation of earth. So if you think of how the most beautiful places on earth, how beautiful a sunset or a snow-capped mountain or a beautiful pristine clear crystal stream, or what it looks like to be in a tall sequoia forest, or that moment when the sun sets in the Sonoran Desert and every color is just beautiful red and orange and purple and the sky looks like it's on fire, or the red rocks of Utah or other places around the world. When you go to these places, you just feel the breath of God, and you feel like there has to be a source creator for all of this beauty. And you think, why would he, she, they, the source, create all of this beauty, and in the world to come, in a place of paradise, he's going to take half of our joy away, which is the beautiful, colorful birds and the beautiful fish that swim, or the marine life, the colorful fish, the birds, all of the wonderful companion animals that have shared your life with you. Why would it be that a source creator as loving as he is, that would create all of this energetic for us to enjoy in this life, and to be in paradise in the next one, would take away the idea of a companion animal? So I want to talk about that. Now, in Isaiah, it talks about the kingdom of heaven being filled with God's animals. And then we also have Revelation. And Revelation, it talks about, we have so many other, we have the Noah's Ark, where he actually exterminates most of the people according to this story of the Bible, but he saves all the animals. He didn't even suffer that one should not survive. He took every kind that was going to be affected by that flood and put them in an ark so they could be protected. So even though he didn't protect the humans, he still protected the animals. And then, of course, people are going to say, well, that was for the food, and that was for the procreation, and that was for the eco-balance. And it is absolutely true that all that is a fact. But God loved his creations and saw that they were good. And then we also have the description of Revelation where it says in the kingdom of heaven, a lion and a lamb shall lay together, and both shall eat straw, for neither will be a carnivore or the eating of flesh. So when you think about that, what comes to mind, Spirit Fam? Tell me in your comments right now on this live and also after this show. What comes to your mind when you think about the fact that in Revelation they give us a description of even a young child playing with a dangerous viper, which is called an asp in the Bible. It says that a child or a toddler can play with an asp and not be injured or wounded. So if snakes exist in the kingdom of heaven, and lions exist in the kingdom of heaven, and sheep exist in a lamb and a lion laying together, then how is it that God would not fill the kingdom of heaven with all of his glorious creations? Because we know that most of us don't love snakes. We appreciate what they do, but a lot of people are not big on snakes because of the danger that they bring and our inherent fear of them. But when you think about it, if snakes exist in the kingdom of heaven, then how much more will the other creatures also be esteemed and appreciated if he saw fit to save this one animal which is just a simple reptile, why would he not save the rest of the animals? Then we move on and we see also that in Revelation, he talks about Jesus coming in. It talks about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and it talks about Jesus riding on a white, horse, and all of these things are symbolisms, but they're symbolisms of animals. We have Jesus as the Lion of Judah. We have him on the white horse. We have the pale horse. We have all of these analogies and beautiful demonstrations and visuals of animals. So I just can't even logically imagine that heaven would not be full of these beautiful creations. Because if they're here on earth, which is a fallen planet, which is a place that has been greatly contaminated by all of our electronics and noise pollution and everything that we've done to contaminate our own environment and pollute it, why wouldn't the beautiful animals, the deers of the field and the rabbits and everything else not be in heaven? It just doesn't make sense to me. Now, when we bring it to that level, we have a question. Do animals live by the will of God or by having a soul? That's the second question that this goes into. Do animals have a soul or do they live by the will of God? And I'm going to answer this question very simply. When dogs and cats were created, let's say that every single species of animal has its own energetic. So let's think of a ball of energy, and this ball of energy is called dog. Okay, it's a great ball of energy. It's spiritual energy. Here we go with the drawings again, but I do have to do some because we're going to have to get our drawing board up here, but let's go ahead and do this just for the energetic. Okay, so we have in this teaching a ball of energy. And we're going to use a dog for the example because a lot of people have at least one dog that they've loved in their life. And a lot of people contact me to make pet readings for them. When they're there, they say, I want to connect to my husband George, but is my dog Coco there? They just need to know that so bad. They need to know their dog's alive. Okay, so here is the energetic, which is just a circle, my best perfect circle. And inside of this circle, we're going to put dog. Just, that's it, simple. D-O-G. Which we know is God backwards, right? So dog, okay. Now we're going to draw some people down here. We're going to draw a little boy. Forgive my drawings, they are elementary, but that's the whole goal, is that they're just rudimentary drawings to demonstrate a purpose. Then we have a lady. I'm going to draw a lady. I love these drawings. I wish I was doing it on a whiteboard much better. And then we have just a man. And we're going to make the man to not be... We're going to make the man a little different than the lady and the baby. Okay? So here we have the man. Alright. Like I said, forgive my drawings. They may not be the best, but they're there. Alright, so here we have 3 people. We have a boy, a woman, and a man, okay? And up here we have the energy of dog. Now, energetically, this is the creation or the creative force. God's energy, let's just say God is up here. We're going to make it like G-O-D. God is all along here. He's the living, breathing, energetic for which everything is created, okay? Now, we have God here in this demonstration, and his energy, he's decided that this energetic is going to create nothing but dogs. So everything that comes off of this, like the sun, is another dog or puppy being born into the world. Okay? And this happens all over the world. Okay? So this is just all those little sun rays are just like dogs being born onto the planet, alright? Now, let's say that this man, the man, has a dog that's a canine. Let's say he has a police dog, which is like a Belgian Malinois. We're going to give him a really advanced, descriptive, wonderful dog. We're going to give him a dog that is just a wonderful pet, and he works as a canine dog. So we're just going to give him pointy ears, and we're just going to make him the best looking dog we can. And again, I'm not a dog artist, so please don't judge the don't judge it. We're just going to give it the energy that it needs. It almost looks like a horse, so no judgment here, but we're going to give him his dog. And this dog is very smart. As I said, he's a canine, okay? And this is his handler. They work together, beautiful, good, energetic, and they love each other so much. Now this is his dog right here. We're going to call him Sergeant. And this man here and Sergeant work together for a lifetime. They are assigned to each other. This is the handler. They're together for a very long time. These two are always together, and they spend, let's say, Sarge lives to 14. I mean, a really nice, long, doggy life. He retires at 9 or 10. But let's say he lives 14 years. I mean, that's a really long time to live with the man. And the man really loves this dog, and this dog is so, so happy to be with this man that they actually have a relationship that's very, very meaningful. So, the dog has a name, which is Sergeant. He has a purpose, which is, let's just make him a bomb sniffing dog. Let's just say he's a bomb dog. Maybe he works at the airport or military. Let's say that he works in the airport for now, okay? So here we have Sergeant, and Sergeant has a name, a purpose, and a meaning for helping humanity, and he also helped this man, okay? Now we're going to go over here, and we're going to give this lady a little dog that she got when she went through her divorce. Let's say she went through a divorce, and we're going to give her a little dog, just like I said, named Coco. So we're going to give her a little tiny Silky. We're just going to give her a little Silky that she carries in a bag with her everywhere she goes. Her dog is with her. It's a little silky-haired dog, and this is the dog hanging out of her bag. It's not the, not the easiest drawing there, but this lady here, we're going to call her Marge, and we're going to call her dog Coco. So here's Miss Marge, and her dog is Coco, and at the time of her divorce, her children had already kind of grown up, and they moved away, and her husband kind of moved on, and she's by herself in a new phase of life, and so Coco becomes her companion, and this dog means so much to her. If you guys are enjoying this teaching, please let me know in your comments so I can post them up on the screen. I would really appreciate it. If you would let me know that you're here, we would love to have you. So this is her companion animal. And Coco helps her with loneliness. Coco has her own clothes. She has her own photographs. I mean, Coco's a big deal to Miss Marjorie. She really does everything. Everything for Miss Marjorie. She's very involved with her, okay? So over here we have companion animal that she combats her loneliness. She has her own clothes. She has her own style. This dog has her own personality. Okay? And now over here we have a little boy, and little boy picked up a dog named Lucky. Now Lucky was a street dog, and Lucky barks all the time. This little boy tried to take him in, but he really, really couldn't take him in. Thank you so much, Miss Melissa. You love this teaching. Thank you so much. So with Lucky, the little boy, we'll call him, let's call him David. So David had a dog named Lucky, and the dog kind of came off of the street, and the dog barked all the time, and it constantly got the little boy in trouble because it was digging holes, it was digging up Mom's flour, it was chewing up his shoes. And this dog was just such a pain to this little boy that the little boy finally just opened the gate and let it out one day and never saw it again. Okay, so here is Lucky dog. Now, Lucky ends up getting hit by a car. I know, it's sad, I'm sorry. Hit by a car. Now we have 3 different examples of 3 different dogs, okay? We have Sarge, which is over here with Lieutenant Dan. We have Miss Marge, who has her little dog Coco, and I'm sorry, we have a little too much light. Let me just adjust the lighting so we can get a little better view of what it is that I want to show you guys. Here we go. So David has Lucky, Marjorie has Coco, and Mr. Dan has Sergeant. And I know I'm out of focus. There we go. So in each of these examples, we have 3 different examples, and here is the energetic of dog. Now, along these there's other puppies being born every day, every second. Puppies, puppies, puppies. Everywhere there's puppies. And the goal is to make sure that there's a soul in each of these puppies. But sometimes a dog is born without the energy, and that's why the litter doesn't survive. Every puppy doesn't survive. It gets reborn. All right, so each dog's situation is different because when a dog individualizes from the idea of the energy of dog, so it doesn't have any gender or name when it comes from the energetic of dog, it goes into the puppy body that's available to it for its incarnation. It's random. Dogs do not necessarily get to choose the way a person does. They're kind of random in their assignments, okay? So let's just say each one of these dogs randomly got assigned. One to a Schnauzer or Jack Russell, excuse me. One to a Yorkshire Terrier and one to a Belgian Malinois. It was by chance that they ended up as those breeds, okay? That's the truth. So, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You love this teaching. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, it was random that they went into these specific breeds. Now, for Sergeant lived 15 years, and while he was with Lieutenant Dan, he individualized. So, what does that mean? It means he individualized. He began to think about who he was. He kind of had a name. He had a name tag. He had a dog bed. He had friends. He had vet appointments. He had kind of everything that he would ever need in this life to be a personality. He basically had his own wardrobe, his own friends. I mean, this dog was really killing it, if you want to know the truth. The thing about this particular dog is when Dan loved him so much that he gave him a name and he gave him a home and he took care of his needs as if he was a person. What happened is this dog became an individual. So the goal of every dog is to become individualized. Most people don't know this. I don't know why it's not taught, but the goal of every dog is to become individualized. Now, why? I'm going to teach that in a minute, but let's go on to Miss Marjorie. Miss Marjorie has the little puppy named Coco. Now, Coco had been born how many times? Who knows? Many, many times, many, many times, many, many places. But no one had ever loved Coco the way that Miss Marjorie loved Coco. She gave Coco a name, a little purse, a little bed, snacks. They had quiet time together. They slept together. In fact, Miss Marjorie, this was her mental health companion, was this little dog. And you didn't see one without seeing the other. And when when Miss Marjorie gets up every day, she thinks about her little dog and how her little dog is feeling, how her little dog is doing. So this dog has also individualized, okay? Now, you have 2 dogs here that have individualized, and let me teach you what individualizing means. Everybody hashtag that underneath it and let me know what dog or cat that you think that you had, or horse, that individualized from source, okay? So, pets are stuck in an endless cycle of death and rebirth until they individualize. Because everything on earth has a spiritual process for starting at one level and moving to another. And for people that don't understand this, they can argue with me till they're blue in the face and they can jump up and down on the Bible. But I'm going to tell you, I do pet readings all over the world. And every single time I have went to connect to someone's dog or cat or horse, they're on the other side waiting on them. Now, I have been able to connect to pretty much every animal that was individualized. However, there's been times in readings when the person wants to connect to another dog or cat and that dog or cat is not there. Why? Because that dog or cat did not get individualized. So we're going to talk about Jack here, or Lucky. So David has a dog named Lucky, and it's a Jack Russell, and he had the Jack Russell for probably 3 months, and he kept getting in trouble, and the dog kept barking, and he kept being high-strung like Jack Russells are. And this little boy let the dog out because he just didn't want to deal with the responsibility of it at 10 years old. So it wasn't his fault because he's young and inexperienced, but unfortunately an accident happened and the dog got hit by a car and he passed. This dog was not individualized because the goal of this dog is to allow, it's allowed to go back into this and recycle and come out over here, hoping that it will find an owner that will let it individualize. And this puppy, whom I have been born to a breeder and didn't really have a great life, will go back into this energetic and be spit out over here. Another part of the wheel. So the way, and animals don't hold any grudges, they're pure love, they're pure truth, they're pure blessing, but the reason that they continually go back into the washing machine of energy is because every dog's goal is to be individualized by their human. They want to become as close, I want to say as close to human as possible, but yeah, that's the best way I know to describe it. They on their own are not human, but they become like a human when a human individualizes them. And the way that you know a dog or cat is individualized is because in this person's heaven, let's say Miss Marjorie decided to cross over, in her heaven, in her heavenly landscape, Miss Marjorie's, it wouldn't be heaven if Coco wasn't there. That's how we know they've individualized. David will go on and have other dogs in his future and maybe have a really special relationship with a boxer when he's 25. You know, when he gets married, he finds this dog, and that dog will be the one that individualizes with him. Or maybe he's a cat person and he gets a cat. So it is the animals for which your heavenly landscape would not be complete without them. Okay, and we all have had different pets, I hope, throughout our lives. But the pet that really matters is the one that would be part of your heavenly landscape. I have a dog named Katara, and I have a dog named Karma. Karma's still alive, but I know for a fact she's one of my spirit animals. She's one of the ones that I basically individualized, and I know that she came down for me. I was very keen that when I picked her out of the litter, I felt like a very spiritual connection with her, and she was there with me through some very hard times and health issues, and I just know that that was not an accident. Now, these two dogs get to just go to heaven and enjoy being part of the heavenly landscape. So Sarge will actually go up, not to dog, but to, so there's 3 heavens here. We have one for Sarge, for Lieutenant Dan. Let's just give him some legs and some hair. Then we have one for Miss Marjorie, right? And then we have one for David. Okay, now David's a little boy, and we hope that he lives a very long life till he's a very, very old man. But here's 3 different levels and 3 different heavenly landscapes. There we go. So for Sarge, he's going to wait here. That's really what he does. He waits for us in a place of paradise where all the children that cross over, and I've always seen the children and pets together on the other side waiting for their owners, which makes me very happy. As I said, please don't judge the drawing. But this is Sargent, and let's say that Dave's heavenly landscape looks a lot like a mountain. There's mountains in the background, there's trees, you know, there's a nice lake, there's other people waiting on him, his grandparents and parents. And so this is his heavenly landscape. So trees, a mountain stream, and some lake, and there's Sarge waiting on him. And then for Miss Marjorie, she loved to go to her grandmother's house, and she wants to be with her grandmother again. And her grandmother's house was beautiful, and there was a tree in it, and she remembers taking her children there, and so she wants to go to her grandmother's house and wait on her kids to join her. And at this house that was beautiful, and her grandfather was there, and of course her little Coco will be there. Because that's how heaven works. It's not a place where we don't get what we want. It's absolutely. So here's Grandma's house right by the tree, and there's little Coco waiting on her. Okay? Then we have the little boy who does not have his dog on the other side, because that dog is waiting for somebody that truly loves and can't really, the one that you make a soul psychic impact with, that's the one that you take with you. So even though he had Jack, and he had Lucky, and he had Titan, you know, he had 3 or 4 different dogs, but none of those dogs individualized. Okay? None of those dogs individualized. Yeah, you never hear anybody teach about the furry companions. So down here, and again, we need to get a different whiteboard, and I understand that. I do understand that, but I hope this teaching is helping you. Down here at the bottom, we see that he has 3 dogs, but none of these dogs are his heavenly landscape dogs. So we go into, fast forward, and he picks up this boxer, and this boxer becomes his best friend. And, you know, this dog really, it has a meaning for him, because this is a time, well, let's say his dad left him the dog, and it reminds him of his dad and that sort of thing. So, again, this is an opportunity for him to, he loves the dog so much, and the dog goes to heaven and is waiting on him so he can see his dad when he crosses over. You know, there's his dad with the fishing poles, and they get to go fishing and relive memories they had on earth, which is true. That is what you get to do, which is a blessing. So yeah, there's the fishing poles, there's his dad waiting on him, and there's his dog, okay? Not a perfect picture, but yes, that's the fishing pole. It looks like it's hooking the dog. I don't know why, but that's how I drew it. So we're learning from this that dogs are an energetic, just like horses or cats, and they continually cycle through death and rebirth until they become individualized. Humans do the same thing to an extent. We individualize when we leave Source Creator to become our own person, and that's why free agency is such a big deal. But for this teaching, you have to realize that animals do have a soul. They do not have the essence of the human soul, because when we're in the body, we have an oversoul, and we have an individualized oversoul, and then we have a spirit that's in the body, which is just a piece of your oversoul is in your physical body. Animals are different in that they don't have an individual oversoul. They have one gigantic glob of oversoul. So every dog comes from the energetic of dog. Every cat comes from the energetic of cat. However, when a human interacts with them to the point of bringing them in to their life and their awareness, that's when we change their life path from death and reincarnation into the, do you know the reason why Sarge, guys, give me some answers here in our comments. Why would Sarge not want to reincarnate again? Tell me why you think he would not want to reincarnate again on this planet. What do you think? Because you got to think, one puppy is born into the lap of luxury in New York City as somebody's little lap poodle, and another dog is born into the streets of Calcutta, where he's going to be a street dog all his life and have to fight for it. One dog may be born into a puppy mill where he's just sold off at the lowest bidder, and one dog may be born to a purebred for a AKC register. One dog may be born to a family as a golden retriever and a lovely companion for the rest of his life. And another may be born, unwanted somewhere in a third world country. So again, dogs, just like people, have this kind of chance of going from a good life to a bad one, or vice versa, a bad one to a good one. So Tabitha says he worked at the airport. He had a very strong bond. Not every dog will have such a strong bond. Exactly. if he were to leave his individualization or his personality with Lieutenant Dan behind, there's not a chance. There may be a chance he doesn't get that again. So for the dog, it's the right thing, but also for the human. How could it be heaven for Lieutenant Dan if his favorite companion, the one he spent the most time with, isn't there with him? Right? Think about that. How can it be heaven for you if your favorite dog or cat or somebody that you love so dearly isn't there to greet you and to be with you? So I want to say specifically that I think this teaching is heretical. I think it is very wrong, and it's not biblically substantiated. I don't see in the Bible where it specifically says the animals do not have a soul. And anybody that has two eyes can look into some dogs, and I want to go into this too. Why is it that some dogs act like dogs and some dogs act like humans? Have you guys ever noticed that there's like a dog and then there's a human dog? There's some dogs that have like that kind of lights on, nobody's home, the tongue is wagging, they just don't have a care in the world, they're goofy, they're funny, they're sweet, they're obnoxious, they're loud, they get zoomies, they get crazy. All of these things, right? But then there's these other category of dogs that I'm like, that's definitely an alien in a dog suit. There's just no way. That dog looks at me, it knows when I'm dressed or undressed, it knows what I'm saying. Like, this dog it's keenly aware and strangely like interpretive of everything you say and do. And you know that dog is different. It's built different. And when you see that, I want you to remember the concept of individualization. So that dog might have lived already 100 doggy lifetimes. So it's had a lot of experience with humans, some good, I'm positive some not so good, or it wouldn't be coming back again. And the goal of every pet is to individualize so they don't have to continually keep going back into the ball of energy called dog. Okay, let's see what our comments are. Let's blow these up so I can see them. There we go. Let's see. I could connect with Snoopy and Luna. They are best friends. I can always tell when they smile, they get happy. Yes. The ones in the hood act like people in the hood. I'm serious. The bruisers, the big giant Dobermans, and the pit bulls, they take on the energetic of their owners. So she says that, yeah, my dog, let's see what she has to say here. Give me just a second. Let me just tune this down. She says, my dog is literally a human. The one I had to put down was the same way as well. I felt like she came back for me and my new dog. Yes, that is another thing that can happen. If a dog has already individualized, okay, let's just say your dog has already been part of your heavenly landscape, but let's say you still have 40 or so many years on earth left. You're going to have many more dogs, and you're going to need a lot more companionship in your life. You're not a little old lady, you have 40 plus years or 30 plus years left on the planet. Is it possible for your dogs to reincarnate? Yes, the answer is yes. However, not all of their energy goes into the new dog. Now, I have a story about this. I have a dog named Katara. I told you I trained her. She's a German Shepherd. And me and Katara used to put our heads together like this. We waited on the school bus every day. I had my head to my dog's forehead. And I would always say, Katara, what are you doing? And she'd walk up and put her head to my head. And I said, you're hard-headed. And she would back up and bark at me. And we just played with each other like that. Well, when she passed away, she died in childbirth with her puppies. And I got another dog about 2 years later, and that second dog was just outrageous. Karma is my other dog, and she was just at the time digging holes, chewing stuff up, just being too much. And one day I was frustrated with her, and I sat down in a chair and I said, God, I just wish I wish Katara was here. And as soon as I said that little puppy, who was only about 6 months old, calmed down immediately from across the courtyard, came all the way over to me, sat down, looked at me with these beautiful hazel brown eyes, and put her head right to mine and looked me straight in the eyes. And I knew in that moment that part of Katara's spirit had 100% been incarnated into this dog. But it wasn't all Katara, but it wasn't all Karma either. Like, there was something about Katara that was still in Karma. But Karma's her own dog, but it was definitely in the beginning some part of Katara's energetic remembrance, came into this body as this other dog. So I do want to let you know that yes, I don't think the entire dog's soul reincarnates 100% because they want to keep that placeholder in heaven, so to speak. They don't want to completely come down because they've already earned their spot in heaven. So we definitely don't want to limit that, but they definitely can come down and influence the next animals. So let's see what other questions we have. Andrea says, can we have multiple dogs in heaven? Yes, of course. If you individualized each of those pets and they had the best life with you that they could ever have, and they're part of your heavenly landscape, then yes, I've seen people have 3 or 4 dogs. I've done readings where I said, oh, you have 3 dogs. And they said, no, I only had one that passed away. But I said, well, I see one when you were like 12. And they're like, yeah, I had Scout when I was 12. And then from there, they remember that they grew up with a dog when they were 3 or 4. So the dad must have loved that dog, or the mom, so much that it's part of their heavenly landscape and they're on the other side in the reading. I'm connecting to this man's mom or dad. And so their dogs are with them in that reading. And then there's dogs waiting on the man for when he gets there. So there was many, like I've seen 3 or 4 dogs in a reading. So yeah, definitely. Let's see. My cats and dog were both full of personality. Everyone knew them and loved them, and I know they're in heaven. Amen, Julie. I love that. Let's see. I loved Snoopy. She's the only one I got a tattoo of her paw of. She passed at 8 of cancer, and I held her as she passed. Yeah, for anybody that says that pets don't have a soul, they clearly have, and I don't know how someone can get behind a pulpit and say that that's a fact. Because remember that a soul, they don't have an oversoul the way a human does. That is true. So I do want to agree with that. Knowing this makes me want to go get a dog or cat again. Yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, honestly, the things that we learn in taking care of our pets is very much the same energetic, humanitarian, spiritual development we get from being a mother, which is pets remain in a state of innocence. And so they never can be able to take care of themselves fully if they're domesticated, and they need you. And the fact that you exchange energy with them every day, they take on our problems. We'll talk about why animals exist and why they're here and what they do for us in a different episode, because I like to keep these nice and short, and we are running a little long. But I just want to tell you that positively, absolutely, animals do individualize, and if you have a dog or a cat, or I've even seen an iguana in heaven. I've seen an iguana. I've seen definitely horses. I've seen a llama. I have seen definitely dogs and cats. That's a huge, huge, huge one. Yeah, I think that's the major one. Dogs, cats, horses. I've seen some birds. I have absolutely seen some parrots. And somebody that had passed with a hawk. He had an injured hawk, and he kept it. He built a sanctuary and kept it. And the man died, and the hawk died, and then the man died, and they were together. When I did his daughter's reading, they were together on the other side. And I just thought that was amazing. So your love is the connection that makes them part of your heavenly landscape. Your love and your compassion for that animal, to bring it into awareness of itself and to give it self-worth and self-esteem and to give it a name and a title and a tag and a purpose. I truly believe that any animal that's given a real purpose, a companion animal like a horse or a dog or a cat that has a purpose in your life, will always be part of your heavenly landscape. And so I just really hope that this helps you. If someone's told you your dog will not be in heaven or your cat won't be there, that's not accurate. But for those that also aren't really in love with their dog or their cat, it's okay to let that person, that spirit, go to another person. You can't get over losing your dog. You still cry over all the time. I know a lot of people that do. My husband had a dog named Callie that was just so special to him. And I know that she'll be part of his heavenly landscape, and that's going to be a very special experience for him. And so having said that, I just want to end this live telling you guys that I appreciate this, and I'm so happy that we get to be here to learn these topics. Trevana says, Ellie was so special. She cuddled me more than my boyfriend ever did. LOL. I was super attracted to her, and she would always just put her paw on me, and now this puppy does this. If I'm upset, she was my support dog, and he literally ended up looking just like her, but he won't lay with me and bond with me like his mom. Oh, he does with me. He does my man. Oh yeah, that might be the thing. He might just be, you know, bonded with that specific person, or maybe they've been together. So again, spirits of the dogs do come back to us, but it may be part of the spirit, not necessarily all of the spirit. But yes, 100% animals reincarnate, and that's why sometimes you get puppies with really outgoing personalities. In the same litter, you get puppies that are super shy and people anxious, probably because of what they've been through before. So, having said that, I just hope that this brings you some peace and joy about your heavenly landscape. And when I had my near-death experience, and the many times I've connected to heaven, I've gotten to see this beautiful park that looks just like this, actually, but even more beautiful if that's possible. And I saw many small puppies with their owners, like little old people that looked like they were young in the face and the body was restored, but you could tell they were from a different generation. And they were playing at what looked like to be almost like Miles Square Park in New York, but perfectly clean, golden benches. And there were children playing on this grass with these animals, these little puppies and stuff. So it's kind of like all the animals that went to heaven and all the children that are waiting for their parents to make it there are together with the great and grandparents and great grandparents. So God is so perfect, and he really does do things for our highest and best good. And I hope this teaching will help you to move forward and feel at peace. Please make sure everybody comments and shares, as we did just start this YouTube channel back up, and we're hoping to grow it and grow it and grow it. So please share this with somebody, especially if they have lost a friend, and like a furry friend, or they have lost a furry relative. Please send them this video and let them know that, of course, that that love will not go void, and that they will be with their pets again in heaven. And I hope that this helps you guys, and I just want to give this information, this wisdom, and this love to all of you, that heaven is for real. It's a wonderful place of love, and God has prepared only the highest and best. In fact, in scripture it says, no man's heart is even prepared for the blessing that God has for us, because it's so outside of our human mind when we're down here on earth, because of how dense and how hard it is here. So just remember that loving a pet is never a bad thing. And if you just feed a stray animal, or donate blankets or food, or whatever it is that you do to be kind to animals, whether they're wild animals or domesticated, you know, God always appreciates that, because they're all God's creation, and it's all love returning to love, coming from love back to love. All right, everyone, I hope this helps you, and I loved being with you on this beautiful live. If you want to find out more about what we do here on the show, then please make sure that you go to right here, scan this QR code right in the corner. It's going to take you to a free consultation. Maybe you want to get a session. In fact, I'm going to be adding the pet reading, which is not listed on my website, but I'm going to list it on my website after this live broadcast, because I think there's probably a lot of people that might want to connect to pets. And because pets are in the energetic realm of angels, it's very easy to connect through the angelic realm. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that link there. Please comment 3 times, heart, like, and love, and let us know what country or state you're watching this from, how long you've been with the One Tribe, if you followed us from TikTok or Facebook, if you just found us on YouTube, or if you're brand new to the channel. We just love having you here, and we're really grateful. I usually go on and try to do a daily live, if not at least 3 times a week on this channel. So make sure you like and love all the videos, and we'll be back on tomorrow between 8 and 11, and I'll see you guys there. Bye, everyone.